Well, we finally have arrived, and we found this lovely pool area with a patio and a very nice hotel.
Yes, and the temperature is beautiful also. Nice and comfortable right now. Of course, it is early morning.
Yes, and it's a balmy day, and we're looking forward to a great vacation.
Yes, and if this is a sample of what's going to happen in the rest of the trip, I'm sure it's going to be great.
Oh, I think so.
This pool is very unique because the rooms border the pool on both sides. If you look down in the end on the chairs, you'll see something. Our pool boy likes to decorate things. He makes a swan out of our towel. Very unique. I think it's really quite cute. What do you think?
In the lobby of our hotel, they are building a display. It is called an Alfombra, and it is being built for the new president of Guatemala and for the King of Spain, who will be staying here for a few days. The men are using a template and are carefully putting down colored sawdust. The center design is finished in this same manner, and all that remains is the unfinished border.
It's the next morning, and it is finished. If I didn't see this being built, I would swear that this is a rug lying on the floor. The security here is unbelievable. The street is lined with soldiers holding guns. In the lobby, there is more security than you can shake a stick at. They are in pairs of two, and they are carrying guns. There is actually four of them, looking at Pat and I very, very carefully as we're standing here by the fence filming this Alfombra, making sure that we're not doing anything that we're not supposed to be doing. I am so happy that after breakfast, in about an hour and a half after, we're going to be leaving here and starting our tour. This security is more than what I can stand. Our first stop was at a museum showing all the different type of Mayan potteries, including this face mask over here. And you gotta admit, this pottery is different, very different. I don't know what to make of this guy. And now we even go into plates, which are really quite pretty. And you gotta admit, they had some imagination. These are burial pots. When your loved one dies, you put his body into this pot, seal it, and let it sit in the sun, and the body will cremate. This is a cutaway showing you how the body is in there. Now, after the body is all cremated, you have a choice. You can leave it as such, or you can remove the bones, sweep up the ashes, and put it into a smaller pot. This is a Mayan book, all done in petroglyph, and it took the world's best brains almost 100 years before they decoded it and was able to read it. Today, they know what it says. Our next stop is a well-preserved Mayan agricultural site with its fantastically carved stone animals, figures, and some of the world's largest steles. The reason why nobody knew these were here is because after the Mayans left, the jungle took over and buried this place completely. So nobody knew they were here. It wasn't until somebody was tracking through this jungle and accidentally ran across one of these steles. And he thought, well, there's one, there might be more. So he started uncovering them, and before you know it, they found more and more and more of them. They found small ones, they found medium-sized ones, and they found this big one over here, the biggest one of all. This stands 26 feet above the ground and 8 feet below the ground to keep it upright, for a total of 34 feet. This came from a quarry not too far from here. But what's remarkable about it, it is one piece of stone, and it was cut from the quarry with nothing more than plain, simple hand tools. After it was upright, they built a scaffolding so that the artists could go and do their thing. These petroglyphs tell a story. Just look at the intricate work, and you think it's all done with just a plain hammer and chisel.
Now we have moved forward onto our next destination, which is near this beautiful lagoon. This is a very quiet and peaceful lagoon, but you don't want to swim in it. If you do want to swim in there, you will have to practice your speed swimming because it is loaded with crocs. Our upstairs room overlooking the lagoon is what we call the bird's nest. Now I'm down in the patio area, just enjoying the beautiful flowers. And this path leads right up to the dining room, the beautiful open-air dining room.
As you can see in this dining room, there is no walls or screens, just the roof. And the waiters are now getting ready for tonight's dinner, which is coming up before too long. Alright, we're going to look again at this lagoon from a different angle, and now I'm also something down here that I'm going to show you. See that little thing there coming into focus in the middle? That's not a log, folks. That's a crocodile. As Pat and I were walking over from the other croc to this guy over here, we happened to see something very interesting. A bird came flying in. It looked like a small duck that landed and swam right up close to him. And before you know it, he lurched and chomped them up. In the 2 bites, it was gone. Feathers, bones, everything, all at once.
That was such an unexpected event, my goodness. It was very, very exciting to see, but we didn't have the camera ready.
Well, you know, a full-size crocodile grows to be about 10 foot long, and this guy is every bit of it. Another thing, Pat, you know, the restaurant here feed these crocs to keep them around there so that the people have something to look at, interesting.
Well, they're pretty lucky to have free food.
Yeah, and that's why they stick around, because of the food. You know, but you know, if you want, you can get some food, go down there and feed this thing.
I don't think so. No, I might lose a few fingers there.
Oh, if that's all you lose, that's not so bad.
I don't think I'd try it. But we do have a croc-free pool to swim in. And this is the artistic settings around the premises.
You know, Pat, that noise you're hearing, that's the sound of the jungle.
I don't hear a sound very much right now. I'm just wondering what everything is.
Oh, it's what that sound is, monkeys primarily, the howler monkeys and spider monkeys. That's what you're hearing.
Well, that is a very strange sound, my goodness.
Yeah, and you know what? What good thing about it is that when it gets dark, they all shut up, so you don't hear them at night.
Thankfully.
You know, Pat, these guys are not caged. They can fly away anytime they want, but they don't. They stay here. And these guys, hey, you guys are awfully noisy. Why don't you keep it down a little bit?
The next day, we headed for Tikal, which is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Note the tangle of jungle that we had to plow through. Our first stop is the model of the Great Plaza, where you can see the Temple of the Grand Jaguar and Temple 2. Visit the Plaza of the Seven Temples and the Lost World of El Mundo Perdido. The whole Mayan area bridges 222 square miles. We are now approaching the backside of the King's Pyramid, which is found in one of the Grand Plazas. Across the Grand Plaza from the King's Pyramid is the Queen's Pyramid, and you can see up close the people up at the top who already climbed up the backside a set of wooden stairs to the top. We are now going to walk around to the back and climb up the stairs.
Yeah, the staircase we came up here on.
Okay.
And we're going to go around.
You can get blue sky up there.
Going to go around over here. And we're going to continue on up.
Blue sky. Oh, you got people up there. Well,
yeah.
They're gone.
We got to go up there, and then we're going to go. There's another level up above here that we're going to have to climb.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll be on top and we'll see everything. Okay, Pat, you know what? Two more steps and this is as high as you go. Then from here on, it's simple. It's all downhill.
Downhill, fast.
Yeah.
Sure. You want it fast and furious, or do you want it gentle and controlled?
Oh, well, controlled is better.
You've seen in all these trees over here.
This is a version of Spanish moss like you have all over Florida. It's a parasite.
It can't kill a tree if it gets...
It can't kill a tree, right?
Yeah. It will suffocate, can suffocate a tree if there's too much of it.
This is where we started from, down below. And that across the way from us is the burial pyramid, where they put people into and bury them up there.
Actually, the king is buried in that one.
The king is buried in that one?
The king is buried in that one.
Okay.
The last king.
That one we cannot go into. There's no staircase up to it like there is on this side over here. And if we're up to it, you can climb up on this one, get all the way through. There's a little ways to climb, all the way up to the top, to where we can go up to where those people out there are standing. But I think maybe we'll bypass that one.
We don't need to. See how she's getting down.
Now, here's a young couple and she's crawling down on her butt.
Well, you see how steep those stairs are because they're the entire length of her up to her knees.
Pat, you go up there, you might have to take a flying leap down.
Now, Pat, we're now back at the steps where we came up. And do you realize you climbed 103 steps for an 84 feet vertical climb? But this is the newest pyramid that they uncovered, and it looks like it's under some pretty intensive repair work.
Yes, I see quite a bit of scaffolding on that.
So over here looking around. And I could show you just some of the things that you saw from before around here. And we're going to go over to the King's Pyramid, which is directly across from the Queen's.
Yes, this is the front side of the King's Pyramid, where the king is buried. And we had first approached it from the back side, so now we see the front side of this.
From down in the King's Plaza where we were, we're looking up now at what used to be the marketplace. This is where Pat and I are going to go to next.
That's true.
Or not afraid of heights.
I'm not afraid of heights, and just my clothes are sticking to me and throwing me off balance. That's what I gotta be careful of.
Well, as I told the wife, I finally came up there, I said, it's not very far to fall, it's just the bounces on the way down.
There you go. Exactly.
Yep, this is the way we got up there, up through this tunnel. Now we're going to go down and find our way out.
It seems to be wood.
That's wood that they use for arching up there.
Yeah.
And it's probably petrified after all these years.
Uh-huh.
We're now leaving the Grand Plaza and we're back in the Jeep going back to our visitors center. And we're coming across these mounds. You know, folks, there's not just a mound of dirt. There is something buried under this mound. Underneath this mound, there's a small pyramid, which the jungle over the last 1,000 years has reclaimed. They know this because of other sites that they have uncovered. The local Mayan Indians are the only ones that knew about these pyramids being buried in the jungle like this. Then it became known to the UNESCO Heritage Foundation group.
And they decided about 70 years ago to come here and start excavating it. And what they found was unbelievable. This is what's buried under those mounds that we just passed. Actually, everything that you've seen so far, with the Grand Plaza and all the other pyramids, were all buried at one time. Thanks to groups like UNESCO, who has the time and money to come and excavate sites like this, which gives the rest of the world an opportunity to see what the Mayan Indians built 3,000–4,000 years ago. Only a small portion of this site has been excavated. It'll probably take them another 100 years before they complete the project. On our way back to the hotel, we stopped for a slightly late lunch at this beautiful lagoon with this lovely dock and a nice restaurant. Well, the reason why we stopped there, because this restaurant has something very unique, which you're going to see coming up very, very shortly. They had this unique turtle pond. It was really quite fascinating to see how it was.
Well, they just look at that one there. He's pushing on the other guy's shell right there. Like, in fact, looks like he's going to walk right over him.
It's going to walk right over the other turtle.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Sure.
Oh, there's a baby right down
There's
there.
another one.
Right
There's
below
one.
you.
Look what's coming over here now.
Sure enough. Oh, they're good, nice side. Oh my goodness. That's a nice photo. Yeah, look at them.
And there's a little one there.
Uh-huh, there's a
Right
little,
there. There's a little one.
there's a little one right at your feet.
And there's the big one top of it.
Yeah, I think they like to crawl on top of each other.
We are back at the resort. And oh, look at that sun. Look how large it is. Must be we're near the equator. Let's stay and watch it set.
Yes, I think you have something about the equator, because you know it does get darker here later than it does back home.
Well, we had a great day and a full day, and tomorrow we will go on to our next destination.
Well, let's get ready for tomorrow morning, because we're going on a long trip tomorrow to Antigua. But along the way, we're going to stop at a coffee plantation tour.
And I'm looking forward to that.
We've arrived at the coffee plantation, and we're now sitting in the patio in front of the tasting room, which they gave us different coffees to taste. For the simple reason, you can also buy it in bean form or in ground form and take it home. But you know what? Pat and I didn't bring an empty suitcase to bring home all this coffee. After the coffee is picked, the first thing that has to happen to it is it has to be washed. And this is a picture of the machinery showing you the process, how it's done. This is a close-up showing you how you put the beans into this big vat and the good coffee sinks to the bottom. The ones that float on the surface is inferior coffee that they don't use. And they used to at one time take that coffee and bring it out to the fields and bury it and use it for fertilizer. But of course somebody came up with a better idea. It's something a lot more profitable to do with this inferior coffee. And guess what they make out of it? Instant coffee. So when you buy and you drink instant coffee, you're actually thinking beans that were rejected by the plantation. After the coffee is washed, naturally it has to be dried. So they take it out here in the back on this big huge patio where they laid all the coffee down on the ground on top of plastic, and they use the sun to dry it. That usually takes 2 to 3 days. And over here you're seeing that there's a bunch of it already that's been bagged. And now we move over to this patio here where the guy just all day long, all he does is go back and forth and turn the coffee over so that it dries evenly. it's you know, it's a job that has to be done. So this is the only way they know how to do it, and it's the probably the easiest and most economical way of doing it.
Inside the coffee plantation is a little museum of native dress. Note the bright colors and intricate designs. Here we see the bride with her wedding shawl and the groom with his wedding shawl. This assembly of animal masks look quite grotesque and are used for various celebrations.
Right after lunch, this group came in to entertain us. They are three brothers that present music, native music, which they wrote themselves.
They have wonderful experience of imitating bird calls and different handmade instruments,
which you will hear in the next segment.
They are very, very good. All these bird sounds are made by the brothers on instruments that they hand-built themselves.
All this music that you're hearing with the bird sounds is an original composition done by these three brothers. I think it's really quite nice. This is just half of the new hotel that we're moving in.
That's right.
In this building, there's
by the front
restaurant and the swimming pool and a few shops.
Oh, Joe, don't step back. There's a horse and buggy coming right behind you.
Oh, good. I can hear him now. Thank you for coming in. The rest of the hotel is over on this side of the street.
Yeah.
We've got the front entrance with the doorman standing there.
You could do a surround.
Oh, this is a unique little patio, and I see that it is open to the sky. And if you turn around, there's also a nice area.
Yeah, I think I'll get there.
Yeah, this is also very pretty. And you've noticed that this part of the hotel is across the street from the dining room. So you wonder how we get there? It's easy. There's a staircase that goes down, and there's a tunnel that goes across the street and comes up in the dining room.
Oh, and you wonder whether that tunnel originally was used for smuggling.
We're now across the street in the dining room. And if you notice, there's something strange here.
It has an open-air ceiling, and one whole wall is open-air, looking out over the outdoor pool.
In the dining room, there was this guy who was painting children's faces. And I think he's doing a pretty nice job of it too. He saw me standing there with the camera, so he stopped, let the girl turn and look at me to see what he was just starting to do. Just outside the restaurant, there's this pool area. You're seeing here with the bar with a nice scenery. It's a nice sized pool, and it really looked very inviting.
As we walked down the street away from our hotel, we passed these old ruins of an old church. We head on down the street. We pass some of these open doorways where we can look in at the interior plazas. As we pass this doorway, we note an interesting feature peculiar to this area, an angel guarding the family's home. Another interesting feature of this same doorway is this decoration of cross in flowers.
We're now entering the central plaza of Antigua, and I'll say this about walking the sidewalks of the city. You take your life in your hand. They look like a war zone. They're all broken up. There are pieces missing. You can't take anything for granted. You got to watch your step every step of the way. Directly across the street from the central plaza is this cathedral, and it is Sunday morning, and there should be a mass going on at this particular time. So Pat and I are going to be walking across the street and going in and seeing what's going on. The mass is over, and people are letting out, and they're playing this particular hymn. Pat is very familiar with this hymn because when she went to Notre Dame University, she was a member of the chorale, and she used to sing this song. And you know, she's standing here next to me right now, singing along with it and enjoying it. We have now moved on to our final destination, Lake Atitlan. Now, as you notice, it's January, and look at this. There is no walls in these restaurants. Most of it is exposed to the atmosphere, and the temperature is in the 80s, and it is very, very beautiful and very nice. And you'll see as we go along here what you see from the dining room.
I am now standing in the restaurant area looking out over the pool. And what an inviting looking pool that is. Isn't this a lovely pool? It's lovely shape and color, and all the flowers surrounding it. And here I am sitting here totally enjoying this in the middle of January, where the temperature is a beautiful 82 degrees and not too far from the equator.
Not only is this resort very nicely landscaped with its lavish gardens, they also have rooms which are very nicely appointed.
And look at the beautiful bright colors on the walls.
At the foot of the bed is the television, and I wonder if it's comfortable. Pat, why don't you sit in it and find out for me, will you please?
It is very comfortable, and I wouldn't mind having this at home. And from our room looking out is this beautiful view of the gardens. These extensive gardens took us almost an hour to explore them all.
And from this porch we can sit here and really enjoy all the beautiful scenery.
This long shot shows how every room in the hotel has their own balcony or porch, and see how beautifully decorated they are. And now we are going to leave the porch and show you the views that we can see from the garden. And see the sculptural effects that are given to the bushes and also the fountains, adding to the sculptural element in the garden. And here's a fish pond. And here is a series of flowers that you will see the variety in the garden and how beautifully and impeccably they are kept neat and tight.
And what's this thing hiding in here? You know, he's making a lot of noise, but green on green doesn't stand out too well. He should put some color in him so we can see him better. It is now the next day, and we went into town for our shopping trip. Now look at the colors on these buildings. They're really well colorful and elaborately painted. Look at these up here above there. See now, look at these patterns that they put on these buildings. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Well, Pat, let's get our bearings away we are, because you know this is where the bus is going to pick us up in a couple hours. We're going to have to come back through here. And this is the avenue we're going to walk down, and with all the vendors on each side of it, with more stuff that you can imagine.
The variety of things is incredible. Look at the colors and all the different elements here. The belts, the caps, the jewelry, everything all jammed in together. It's just almost overwhelming.
Tell me, Pat, did you see anything here that maybe you liked?
Well, I might, but I'm going to have to go a little bit slower and take a closer look.
Okay, go ahead back there and have the guy show you what's there, and
oh, I think I do see something in there that I might like to examine closer. So she'll take it down for me, and it's one of these purses that I like. It's just the right size and some nice color to it.
And did you notice these three-wheel taxis screaming down the street?
No, never.
And you know what? They're getting pretty close.
Uh-oh, and are they? No.
Yeah, don't step back too far. You might wind up going on a taxi ride that you don't want to go on.
I see the hat is flying because they are so close. Oh, here's an interesting collection of face masks and wooden artifacts, which we haven't seen yet before. There's quite a variety of collection here. And look at the colors in these things. Oh, that reminds me, this little skeleton here. My son has a collection of these wooden carved skeletons from Los Cabos, and he asked me if I could find one from Guatemala. Oh, this is a much nicer collection, and I think I see this little white skeleton way over on the end standing up there with his articulated hands and legs, and that's the one I think we'll bring home. Well, this collection of children's benches show the great jaguar, of whom the Mayans felt very highly of because in their culture, the jaguar had a very important job of collecting the sun when it set and carrying the sun all the way around across the bottom of the world so that it would be in the right place to rise the next morning.
At the end of the shopping street is the lake, and this is beautiful Lake Atlan. And tomorrow morning we go up for a cruise on this lake where we're going to take in all the beautiful sights. One of the main things is the 3 volcanoes here. You see one here, and over here on the left-hand side, there's actually 2 of them, but one is behind the other, so you can't really see that there is 2. Well, it's early morning, and there's the boat, and we're going to be getting on it and go take a cruise at this very, very lovely lake. Before starting on our cruise of this beautiful lake, let me give you a little history about it. 85,000 years ago, this was a big, huge, active volcano that eventually imploded into itself, collapsed, and blew sky high. And then over the thousands of years, it sealed, it went dormant, but it did grow these little volcanoes you see here. There's actually 3 of them here. The 2 on the left here that we just left are still active. They still spew ashes from time to time. This one over here coming up on the right has been dormant for hundreds of years. After the volcano blew its top, what was left is called a caldera, and over the thousands of years it slowly filled with water, forming this big beautiful lake that you see here. Just to put it in perspective for you, the size of this lake is roughly 35 square miles, which is massive. And this lake is the second largest in the whole country of Guatemala. Coming into view now is the rim of the caldera, and that stands at 9,000 feet. The lake level is at 5, so after you come over the rim, you have to drop down to the lake 4,000 feet to the lake level. Now we'll continue on with our tour. Now we're on the boat and we're going to start the tour of the lake.
The boat is full of our fellow travelers from the caravan tours. Some of our first views are of the villages that are dotted along the lake, and we see how they are gathered in different spots, and some of them are very densely populated.
We're now going to take you along the lake over here and show you some of the real beautiful lavish homes that are all along the lake.
We find them dotted periodically here and there, and how beautiful they are, how lavish they are.
Our cruise is coming to an end and we're starting to pull up to our dock. And there's something very interesting here that I want to show you. Right here next to the dock, we have a heliport. People come in with helicopters and leave with helicopters. This is not the only resort that does this. Man, it must be nice to have this kind of money to be able to do it. Well, sweetheart, it's almost time to say goodbye.
It is, and it's come too soon. Way too soon. There were so many good things to see. We saw the ruins, the Mayan ruins. We saw the beautiful gardens and the hotels, and the artifacts, and the color, and everything was just so gorgeous.
Yes, but you know, especially that boat trip that we took this morning out here on the lake.
That's right. That was a very special trip with that lake being surrounded by volcanoes.
Yes. But you know what? Every good thing has to come to an end.
Well, and I'm sorry about that, but we'll have more down the road to look forward to.
Okay, people. Goodbye.
Goodbye.